of delay. I think delay for about 2 minutes. We are live. Hopefully, I think the chat people in the chat on YouTube can just say that we are live. We just need a confirmation because there was some issue with our audio, video, all the other feeds, and few technical issues from my end. I mean, there's never an occasion, right, wherein we don't face such difficulties when we start something new. Always there's some drama going on until the last minute. So, anyways, with that being said, uh, we are the Gameweek Navigators, right? All of us, part of the Game Week. We will be navigating through multiple weeks, multiple game weeks. And this is the first episode. And I am joined by wonderful three members of our team. There are a couple of more guys who are unable to make it today, but will be there very soon over the next few weeks. And you'll be probably tired of seeing our faces for the next probably 6-7 months or so until until the current season ends. So, um, what are we going to discuss today, guys? What do you want to do? FPL is live after all drama yesterday. A lot of things happened.
Yeah. So before we start, how do you feel about it? Right? How was the break, guys?
I think we are still tired of pressing refreshing throughout the few hours yesterday. Still haven't recovered from that.
No, but it was honestly a much needed break. It was a long season. A lot of things went up and down. So good to be back, but with the break was worth it. Much needed.
Surely. I mean, for me as an Arsenal fan, the heartbreak at the end of it, I just, left as many football groups I could. Just took a complete break, as much as I could. I could not stay away more than, I think, 2, 3 weeks from Twitter. But at least the first couple of weeks, it was a complete silence. I tried reading a bit more, having a bit more time with family, etc., etc., right? So did all that thing, but I think 3 weeks stops, and you start feeling that, feeling in your heart like, hey, where my weekends are going. It should be football, man. And thankfully, the transfer news helped a bit, but FPL is FPL.
And in the first episode, you are showing Haaland's medal in the first page, so that adds to the
Yeah,
heartbreak.
Aditya has ensured that that heartburn does not, go away. But at the same time, I think this is a new season. I am hoping to sell away Haaland as soon as I can. I hope that that bugger just does not return. Disappoints everyone, and thus we start selling him off.
Yeah, but the thing is, the ownership with Haaland is always going to be high. So it's always going to be like sketchy territory that we are going to be in if we opt to even think about that situation. Oh yeah, it's an interesting season, especially with the pricing and everything. So it's like looking forward to it. I hope Haaland doesn't like break the league again. Yeah, so the rest of us have some chance. Like Arsenal, Liverpool looks like a rebuild happening. So
Yup,
let's yeah, hopefully good times ahead.
Yeah, I did check just
perfect.
now at the noon. I think around 83% currently owning Haaland.
Wow.
So yeah, the price is not stopping anyone from owning him.
Perfect. I think without any delay, we should move on to the next slide. Right? Get right into Manchester City.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. Let's go into City. Obviously, Haaland is priced tad high amongst compared to these four, but these are probably like the key. We're just going to first look at the key reveals here. Obviously, they are emphasized for a reason because of the chunk of points that they've earned last season and the amount of bandwagons that they have created. So obviously we have KDB, Bernardo Silva, Grealish, and Stones. Any other
Yeah.
options that
Ha-
entice you guys?
Haaland is Haaland, right? But where do we go next? I mean, the fixtures look really good for Manchester City.
Yeah, we
So
have Grealish at 7.5. We have I think Mahrez at 7.5. Foden also at
Foden as well.
7.5. So out of those three, do you think all three start together or maybe just two of them in the first
I'm
game?
hope I'm hoping that Foden gets a start in like initially for it is he's touted to start instead of KDB because of his hamstring injury, but I hope he takes on that Gundogan kind of role where he's like the shadow striker running into the box late. So that is going to be on my list of players to watch out for this preseason, and to see what his role is going to be like, and how Pep is going to invent the Gundogan position at least. Like, is Bernardo Silva going to deputize over there, or is Bernardo Silva only going to be on the right wing, rotating with Mahrez? So a lot of questions as of now with Man City, with the outgoings and the potential incomings.
I think speaking about Bernardo, I think there are some transfer rumors that he's leaving City. So not sure why they decided to put him at the main players here.
And
I mean, rumors are rumors, right? Can't
Yeah.
help it. Last season, I think we were fairly certain that Bernardo is leaving. He was supposed to join Barcelona, but no one could cough up and meet City's figure. And even this time, it seems while PSG is in, the number that they are asking is fairly high. 65, 70 million. But in case that goes up, in case Bernardo goes away, I think that makes that City fixture, the City squad, fairly more predictable, right? You have Foden and Grealish who can take up both the wings. You have a new guy, was someone like Kovac is coming in, who can play with Rodri, right? And someone like KDB plays the KDB role, right? Things will become a bit more easier for us, and hopefully that's what we can ask for as FPL managers. But in case Bernardo does not move, there are a lot of options that Pep can go for, right? And one of the most important things for me is looking at how and where Foden is utilized, right? Every season, if you know that, there's a Foden mania which goes on among most of the FPL managers saying, hey, this is the season Foden becomes a 200 points or say 180 point asset. But somehow, that keeps dying off because he's never been able to make any one position his own. Right. Do you guys feel this is the season that it finally changes?
Um,
I hope so, to be honest. Like, every time you see Foden is getting starts in the team, and then something just goes south with him. Either it's off the pitch, either it's an injury, or either it's just a change in formation or change in tactics from Pep. So, but this season looks more likely because he's going to be the next gen that takes the mantle forward for Man City. So hopefully this season is going to be his season. Like, I'm a big Foden fan, so any chance I get it, or any rumor that floats, like, hey, Foden can get a start, or he's going to cement his place, I'm on him. He's got potential. He's got many routes to points, and the way he can blend to like multiple positions, so that goes in his favor when it comes to Pep's flexibility of positions, especially when, like, 2 seasons back, when they were going around that merry-go-round of false nines, like they had like multiple false nines. So that just shows
Including
his
Gundogan.
exactly, and that just shows his capacity of adjusting and adapting to each position. So yeah, let's see. Let's hope this season is his season, and let's hope the preseason gives us some information on how Pep is planning to utilize him,
Perfect.
and
And since
especially.
we have, sorry, please
No,
go ahead.
no, good. No, I was just saying,
Uh,
especially at that price point, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, 7.5 million for City midfielders if they are starting is going to is always has such high potential, such high upside that indeed makes me happy. But since we have a Newcastle fan with us, right, which is rare in most parts, I just want to know the second fixture is Manchester City home to Newcastle, right? I thought last season Newcastle played well even in the away match, but this time they have a new signing called Tonali, right? What do you expect of the game, man?
okay. There are two ways that Tonali can fit into the team. Either he'll play deep, which release Bruno in a more attacking role, or Bruno will stay at the deep position, and Tonali maybe he can, as we can see, he can play the box to box role as well. So currently we don't know what Eddie Howe will do. So it depends on how they feel during the first few warm up matches. Maybe then we can know further. Yeah, but one thing I want to say about Tonali is he's actually quite good at taking set pieces, as we can see during his Milan days. So he might take some set pieces from Trippier, so which makes Trippier less appealing. Might, so we don't know. Oh, because without we can see last season that Trippier took all the corners, all the free kicks, so which makes him so valuable as an asset. So maybe Tonali will take some of them. We don't know that yet.
Extremely strong point, right? And since we are in the topic of Trippier, right, and in the category of defenders, I just want to ask Aditya, any City defender who you are thinking of starting with, Aditya?
Well, to be honest, I'll be just blunt. After the game launched yesterday, I just did an auto pick and I just shut down my system. And I'm not going to think about all these players at least for the next 3 weeks, because
Okay.
we have data, we have stats, we have fixes, everything, and we'll just keep on blubbering out like these guys are the best picks for the next for the initial 5 weeks. Let them start playing, let them get fit, because preseason is something that managers have now been very smart. And a good player who has played maybe, let's say, regularly last season ends up losing his spot for the initial few weeks because he's been not looking fit in the preseason. So I'm looking at it in a very different way, but I am not looking at any other City defender. Probably Stones is the only guy. He's probably nailed his spot very well, and he's tending to move advance also to the midfield. Also, he's skilled up himself in terms of playing as a proper ball playing center back, and also being good with his passing. So I think probably Stones might be the only player, because we don't know what Kanse, he might leave, and the right back spot is just completely up for taking. So it's again the same clueless boat that we are all in terms of City's defense. So other than Stones, I don't see any other option as of now.
So
Yeah,
Stones
I
at
mean,
yeah, okay, good. Stones at 5.5. Edison is also 5.5. So which one is the better option right now?
I just
I
hate
am,
Edison.
yeah, I'm going nowhere close to Edison. Nowhere close. I've
That
always
guy,
been saying that he's not a good keeper. He's not. He fits into Pep's system. That's the only reason he starts, because Pep prefers someone who plays out from the back, and his skills on the ball are way better than his skills holding the ball. So Edison as a pick for me, I can never make myself go towards that. But personally, even I agree with Aditya. Like if we have an option from the defense, Stones is the only exciting option, only because he turns into that inverted fullback position and gets into the midfield with Rodri. But also, let's see how Kova is going to be bedded into the system, because that's going to be another point of discussion to Stones losing his position to Kovacic, or is it going to be Pep always like tending to take that one season with the player to bed him into his system and then give him those regular starts? That's going to be interesting to watch.
Doesn't have age on his side, Kovacic. He keeps getting a bit slower with every season that we are watching him. But
True.
yeah, I mean, watching Stones was so amazing last season end. Right? Even as a rival fan, I could just appreciate the way he was moving with the ball. Watching him play FA Cup final as well as Champions League final, do it at that stage, right? Dominating teams like Inter as well as Manchester United. It's not easy for a defender to do that in the middle of the pitch. But Stone was so graceful with the ball. Just as a football fan, I really loved watching him do that. I'm sure I tweeted about it as well. Uh, City defense is such a trap, so difficult to nail someone, right? But I know for sure I'm not going Edison. He was such a disappointment last season. Even if they concede one shot, we knew it was a goal, right? And I remember watching some stats. I think he was one of the most underperforming goalkeepers last season. I don't know if it changes, but very difficult to start with Stones at least. The only good thing about it is, we get a strong defense asset for 5.5 to 5 million, depending on where we end up with. Right? And just that if we can nail it, we know ideally we are getting a good defensive choices, at least with the fixtures that they have got. I was just looking at the fixtures for City, and I can see they start with Burnley away, can be tricky. Then it's Newcastle at home. Then it's Sheffield away, Fulham at home, West Ham away, and then Nottingham Forest at home. Initial five odd fixes, and it just has so much potential for 4 or 5 clean sheets as well. Like, in case you get it right, the upside is so high that you will always be attracted to try it out. Maybe a week or two, and then you move out. But there will always be an upside, given the fact that I don't think most of us are going for 3 city assets, attacking assets for some reason.
Yeah, because you can't nail them down. Like you except from say Haaland, you can't say any attacker that's going to give you 5 out of 5 stars. So
True,
that's going to be
true.
a difficult challenge over there. And especially with Stone's price point, like he's 5.5, and there are so many other options as well at that 5.5 range. So even if it goes south, you always have that easy jump away to the next player who's in the 5.5 bracket, say a Shaw, say Estupinian, who's a lower bracket. So it is very tempting to start with Stones or with the City defender in the same bracket, but it's very difficult to predict what Pep does. Pep does Pep things.
Yeah, yeah. So, like we were discussing at the start of the pod, it's so easy to get navigated. Start discussing FPL, and we never keep track of time. I think it's time to move on to the next team.
Yeah, sure.
Sure.
Yes, we go to the next team. Before that, there's one comment which is that in the chat that Pep tends to slowly blend in those signings, those new signings though. Yeah, so I think we've seen that, right? Initially, they're not part of the team too much. They don't play a lot of games, but it takes them almost a season and a half to get integrated to the squad. So probably players like Grealish obviously might prove to be great this season, but let's see. And I think is it just me that I'm seeing that Leo's video has frozen completely?
Sorry,
Is it
I think,
mine?
yeah, I think so.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think so.
okay? So I think he'll have to rejoin once again. Just put up his video
Yeah,
on and off.
yeah, yeah.
We'll go. We'll move on to Sankalp's Arsenal, and there's just one thing to keep in mind is Martinelli is 8 and Odegaard is
Yep.
8.5. I think Rashford Sankalp will get started with.
Yeah, I mean, one fresh guy we can see, 7.5 million as a midfielder. Uh, it will be interesting to see how he's getting used. I think the only thing that I've read so far, multiple reports pointing that it seems Havertz will play for us in that Zaka role. How it plays out, very difficult to know. I mean, Zaka played a lot of times as second striker last season, and I remember people pointing it out, saying, "Hey, if only it was someone else other than Zaka, we would have definitely gone for him." And now we have a guy who generally plays well in the second striker role. Not a signing I was initially very excited about, to be honest. Very difficult to understand why we were taking him, why we are going for someone like him. But now that I understand where exactly we're looking to play him, I can see how it's making some noise. Right. At the same time, Saka for me is underpriced. I was very, very, very surprised to see Saka at 8.5 million, given the fact that we already had news of Rashford at 9 million. Right. I just expected all the 200 pointer guys to be at least 9. Right. And Odegaard and Saka both at 8.5 is a bit of surprise, but I'm definitely going to start with Saka. I mean, Saka was like alongside Haaland, one of the first guys into my team. And I know a lot of people will still be a bit uh, 50-50 about Gabriel Jesus, but I still feel he's a good player to go for at the start of the season. I'm not saying season long choice, but again, like City, thankfully we also have pretty good fixtures. First 5 and 5, 6 matches, a lot of matches at home. So it feels like if I have to go at least two attacking players, I would start with Saka and Jesus to begin with. Right. Over to you, Nehal. What do you think about Arsenal this season?
I think they have been just a point 0.5 underpriced from especially Saka. He should have been 9 at least because he's on pens. He's the talisman of the team. And putting Odegaard and Saka at the same price bracket becomes a little like it was a little lazy pricing, I would say. That they could have just given Saka that point 0.5 premium and made us like have to make a decision between the two. So when it comes down to the pricing point of view, I think they missed a trick over here, as well as Martinelli. Martinelli, at 8, when you compare to him at with point 0.5 more with to Saka, everyone's just going to go towards him. So I'm just looking at him being very highly owned at the start of the season. Also with Jesus, I think the price point is really good. The 8 million price point for forwards. You can actually start the season off with him, especially with the first fixture being Nottingham Forest. Is it Nottingham Forest, right?
Yeah, it starts with
Yeah.
Forest.
So you can start off with him, and then based on his performance and how the other strikers are doing in the similar price point or lower price point. Like for example, we have a lot of good 7.5 strikers as well. So it's always going to be an easy downgrade instead of upgrading at the. So your game week one teams need to be as flexible as possible from the price point point of view. So I think Jesus has got an edge over here, and he was showing potential before his injury, but then
Yeah,
post his injury, it takes time, especially after a long term injury like what he went through. For sure, he just like when he came back, you could see that he was getting into those crucial positions, but then you just saw Man City Jesus all over again for some reason. So little disappointed by the end of the season, but for sure he's going to be a good option because Arteta has blended him into their system, and it's very similar to how Pep operates as well. So let's see. I have very positive things for Jesus as well as Havertz. Has always been a troll for me, but then change of position and how he's going to be operating. If it's going to be the Jaka position that he's going to be operating in, the late runs in the box is always going to be exciting. So these are players to watch out for. What do you think about Gabriel when compared to the rest of the crowd? So he's like 5.0 as well, right?
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
then the most nailed defender in the team as well. So what do you think about him as an option?
I'm pretty much, I'm pretty happy with the way they have priced Gabriel because generally people don't go for him because he's a centre back, in spite of the fact that he does score those odd goals, from corners from set pieces. Generally, people don't go for him. People go for the fullback. So White has gone for 5.5. He was very popular last season. Now he's picked up price. Zinchenko, while is cheaper, I feel there's a probability with a change in formation. We see him not as much as we saw him last season, right? And especially with Champions League, I think we might preserve his fitness, which has always been an issue, right? So Gabriel, Saliba, and Ramsdale for me are the three defenders that I'm pretty much confident are going to start, right? And to see someone like Gabriel who has that ability to score from set pieces, right, at 5 million, I think is very interesting. I personally feel I would start with three Arsenal attackers, being an Arsenal fan, right, and just looking at the fixtures, a bit more optimistic than others, obviously. But I think anyone who's going for Gabriel is in for a treat this season, right? Saka and Jesus, I think, will be fairly popular. Who will be a third Arsenal, asset? Aditya, I'm assuming that you have the third one.
Nice assumption. I have not even made one draft, so
Yeah.
but I
What do you
think
think?
Jesus, as you said, Gabriel Jesus and Saka are two good. I think they're very ideally priced. I think if Odegaard was priced 8 would have made some sense rather than 8.5.
Yeah.
So that's just they're just telling, okay, you know what, just don't go for him. But then if he
Yeah.
scores points, then don't come to us that I didn't pick him. So that's the pricing they gave. So yeah, I think we'll see. I think the third spot, as usual, is going to be form dependent. Whoever looks in good form, you go for him and you keep that slot open. I think that's how you need to play with the top, probably the 6 teams. Keep one spot open because sometimes it gets very difficult with hits and the funds to get them in. But I don't know. Yuri Timber, we don't know once he joins how much of an impact he's going to give to Arsenal. And Sankalp, there's a lot of. I think there's some disturbance coming up. I don't know. Uh, yeah, I think we're good. Some sort of okay, we're good. Yeah, I think. Sorry, as I was saying, Yuri Timber. I think he's going to play a good role once he joins. I think he's due for a medical or something, and we are close to some announcement. So whether he
Yeah.
takes up White spot or he plays in the central defense, I don't know what's going to happen. But he could be a player to watch.
Yeah, and that's perhaps the reason I'm not as confident of White's starts as I was last season. Because last season I was fairly confident. I knew White will start, but I feel like Timber is fairly close to the way White plays, and is much more regular as a fullback because White is centre back and was converted as a fullback. So now I'm a bit more uncertain. Right, I just want to check Long if you can hear us.
Yeah, yeah. I'm here.
Because
Can you hear
oh,
me?
perfect. Yeah, we
Yeah,
can hear you. I think for some reason the video is frozen. But
yeah,
any thoughts on Arsenal?
yeah. I'm just interested in seeing how Declan Rice signing fits into the team because if he replaced Partey at that deep position, then which means that we'll have a quite attacking midfield with Havertz and Odegaard playing forward. So do you think that you expose them to maybe leaking more goals? Um, yeah, this is one question. And another question is the signing of Timber. So what is Tomiyasu's role now when do they sell him? Do they bench him? Is he now a fringe player?
Yeah, I mean, uh, taking the second question first, Tomiyasu has been, I think, fairly injured most of the time that he has spent here at Arsenal. Whenever he has started, I've been fairly happy. There are matches I've seen him control Sun. There are matches I've seen him fairly keep Salah in control. So I'm a bit disappointed with his injuries, but now that the entire transfer window has come in, it will be interesting to see what we do of Tomiyasu because we have not heard about his exit so far. I have not read it anywhere. So I feel he might not be in the list. So it's like, White comes back as Saliba's backup, and then you have Timber and Tomiyasu as possible right back, as well as someone as a backup, right? The idea this season was obviously to build a lot of depth for Arsenal. The fact that we are going to Champions League and we hope to push City, for the title, right? So the idea has been to add depth. So I feel Tomiyasu will stay as long as he's fit. But you never know. End of the window, someone comes up with a good offer. Things might change a bit. Overall, I do expect 80% for him to stay. With respect to the midfield, I think we'll see some variations in home and away matches, right? In the way we approach games. Of course, when you take away someone like Party and put someone like Declan Rice, there's a possibility. And with mostly with Zaka out of picture and Havers coming in, someone who's not as physically intensive as Zaka, there's always an opportunity for us to concede a lot of counters. I do feel that is one of the major reasons Arsenal went for Declan Rice because Partey is not as mobile as Rice is. Right? Rice covers a lot of the ground. He has fairly higher pace than Partey has. So I feel as a tandem they might work well, right? And at least for home matches, I expect Havers to start. Maybe the away matches, especially the tougher ones, we can have a combo of Partey and Rice sitting at the base of the midfield with Odegaard doing the lone attacking midfielder job. There will be some variations to it, definitely. And but the fact is, the front three should ideally hold, strong. Martinelli, Jesus, Saka, and Odegaard, right? And that's where most of the opportunities are, at least from a FPL point of view.
So do you think 100 million is well spent on Rice?
Oh, I don't think either of the transfer deals are price wise, good moves. But I also feel at some point of time when you start, moving up the ladder, right? And when opposite clubs know that you need this signing for a particular reason, right? They'll start asking for more, and at some one point of time, we just have to accept it, right? We are not going to do 5 deals season from here on. Right? We have built most of our team now. We have almost closed with the depth options as well. So any player that we go for now is going to be a crucial player. and we'll have to overpay a bit. Did we overpay for both the deals, Havertz and Rice? I definitely agree. I don't think I can deny it. Maybe Havertz by 15-20 million. Rice, I think 25-30 million more than I would have expected going into the summer window. But the good thing is we have managed our wages well over the last 2-3 seasons, and I think that is the reason that we have been able to go for such deals at least this summer.
Rice is always going to have that English tax, man. So you can't
Yeah,
like it's always going to be the case. Especially he's got age on his side, so
yeah.
it's always good. It was always going to happen. His deal was always going to be 100 million plus, and West Ham was not going to take anything below that. Or did we
Somehow
lose
long
him?
dropped off. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But let's move on to the next team.
Yeah, we have
Let's
six
save
more
time
teams to
conscious.
cover, and we have just
So yeah, we just
Yeah.
spent first 30 minutes on top two. It's okay.
yeah. I
Like
think
it should be, right?
Yeah, like it should be. Okay, long is back.
Yeah.
okay. Next team is my beloved team. I think I will go this time. I will represent Shiva and Suresh here, and hopefully they kind of agree to my thoughts here. So, United's pricing has been good and bad both the ways. I would say it has been good, not bad that much. Rashford at 9 is good, is generous. I think they could have made him 9.5, and people would have what, let's not go for him. But 9 is like what, he's competing with Son in that bracket, so it's a good price. Other than that, one big thing is that we managed to get Mount, which is such a surprising deal. Who would have imagined a Chelsea player ends up signing for United a year back, 2 year back? If anybody would have asked me, that would have not happened. We would have just laughed off. But apparently, it has happened, and it was announced yesterday. And that is a big signing for United in terms of the way that we would like to play football. So that's going to be very important. And with Ericsson that we saw last year, the amount of impact he was able to get in terms of United's attack and as well as defense, and his injuries also had few issues in terms of overall United's performances. So with Mount in, I think it's going to be Casemiro, Fernandes, and Mount, and that three midfield is going to cause a lot of chances for the front line of United to score, and we don't have a front line. We don't have a striker. So who's going to score? I will score. Neyar will score. Sankalp will score. So unless we don't get a striker, who's going to get you the points?
It's going to be. So if you all don't sign anything, do you expect Rashford to move up top? Because that's the only solution as of now. Unless Marshall comes back, like if he can manage to stay fit. Other than that, I don't see any other option. Like, and Vegas
I
kind
will
of deals
just
should not happen.
I will just finish it off here. I'm with a lot of pain. I have to say, Martial is a preseason Thierry Henry with a lot of pain. I hope he stays fit and he plays well, but it's not looking good for us over the last two seasons.
Yeah.
So if and we've got in Mount, we might get Onana. If not, we might go for Biglo, or I don't know what is the goalkeeper saga. That's a separate thing going on. We need a striker. I think they're looking at Rasmus Holland. If they don't get him in, they're looking at Portos, Taremi, and there's a lot of other weird names floating around. So I think they will eventually get a striker, but that might just drag in towards the end of August. So I think your best bet in terms of United, I'll just go straight away. Preseason games might give us much better answers. It's Fernandez is the best option at 8.5, not Rashford. Unfortunately, just for the point 0.5 might help us out anywhere else. But if United don't get a striker, it changes. Fernandez, Dalo is a good pick because Mount might come in and eat Luke's or set pieces. That is something else that could happen. So Dalo at 5 and Fernandez 8.5 and then Rashford. I think these are three good picks for now, but preseason will give us much better answers because we are playing 9 games as the most so far. So we'll get better inputs later.
Yeah,
Makes
I
sense.
Anything else
I
you guys want
was
to add?
actually burned by Dalo's pick last season because when I pick him, he actually don't start for quite a number of games, and one Bissaka actually started it. So, do you think that he'll claim back the place this season?
Yes, he will. He will. Straight away he'll come in. because we are going to play the inverted fullback way. The way City play, that's going to be the same, whatever they call it, positional play. So I think he's going to play in because he got injured and he was rushed in and he wasn't that fit. Probably he got a breather. And Van Bissaka, to his credit, has been playing well. So that's going to be a tough fight. But I think Dalo will get the place for now.
The addition of Casemiro last season caused a big impact from a defensive point of view as well. Like David De Gea ended up with the Golden Glove. So from defensively, can you imagine like after all of those mishaps, defensively the team was pretty strong. So defensive assets from Manchester United are going to be interesting to watch out for, especially likes of Shaw and Dalot. I'm very interested in looking out to find out which is going to be the best option out of the two.
Just want to ask, in this is something that I think I asked you in last season to Aditya. Uh, Double attack one defense or single attack double defense, Aditya, for United.
I don't want to jinx just single United player. Play safe.
And your player of choice would be Bruno.
I'm inching towards Fernandes, but United's run of games are also important, and it looks good. So I think if you have funds, maybe Dalo. Otherwise, at the start of the season, you are just basically looking at the previous season's defensive data, and you're going to pick players.
True.
All of a sudden, you will have different set of players and teams performing well. Like who even imagined that the way Newcastle played at the start of last season, people just running all over and getting double defense, an attack, single attack, double defense, triple defense also at some stage, right? Nobody predicted. So,
Yeah.
so again, as I say, right, just be patient and wait. But for now, just pick single
Yeah.
assets.
Yeah, but I mean, looking at the fixtures, right? United have Wolves at home, Spurs away, which I expect to be a goal scoring match. Then again, Nottingham Forest at home, then Arsenal away, then Brighton at home, then Burnley away, right? I just have a feeling they have that 2 to 3 clean sheets there. And if, for example, if we know that Dalot is starting, right, I think Saw Dalot looks like an interesting combination to go for. I don't know whether Onana comes. Someone like Onana, if priced at 5 million instead of Daya, will be someone I would be happy to look at because he would have a passing range and a higher probability of bonus, which Daya never had, right? And it's also the fact that no one else stands out. I mean, Bruno is a good choice, but then at 8.5, I'm getting Saka, right? I like Bruno, but I'm like, hey, if I'm getting Saka, I'll not go for Bruno, right? Rashford and Saka seem like good goal scorers in that price range. So I might use that extra player of United in the defense, where I'm not fairly confident. We'll be talking about Trippier and like players like Trent in the coming slides, but I feel like there's a probability to have fun and save some money in the defense, at least at the start of the season. Right? Let's see. I think we can go into the next one. And we have Newcastle United in the top four. How's it feeling, Long?
Oh, this I've been Newcastle supporter for like more than 10 years now, and we've been suffering a lot under Mike Ashley, and finally we get our club back. So finally we are at the at the Champions League again. So I think it's one season earlier because the expectation last season maybe we just want to try to get to Europe Conference League. So I think Champions League is a big surprise for us. So this season the expectation will be a lot higher, and I think it'll be very hard for us to juggle between these competitions. So so far we have signed Tonali. I think we'll sign a few more, but I think there's a lot of rumors, but we lost in Madison so far and some of other transfers. So not sure how it's going to be, but okay, I'll just briefly talk about some of the price changes for Newcastle. So look at our goalkeeper. We start with goalkeeper. We can see that Pope have increased in price from 5 to 5.5. So I think right now there's a lot of good 5 million goalkeepers out there, like Ramsdale and others. So I can't see people picking Pope, especially with the tough fixtures starting. Then we look at defenders. Trippier is the most obvious one, increased to 6.5 million, right? And it's the second highest price defender now, I think. So if you ask me, I won't start with Trippier. Even if I love Trippier, I won't start with him. Um, then we look at other cheaper options, like I think the most popular one is Botman. Right, Botman stays at 4.5 million, which is I think is a surprise for a lot of people, because a lot of people expect him to rise to 5 million. So I think he will be a popular pick for a lot of managers. Maybe if they decide not to start him, they can just stick him in the bench for some matches that maybe away to City. Maybe they can just stick him on the bench, because you can see that a lot of promoted teams, their defenders are priced at 4.5 as well. So do you want a 4.5 million defender from promoted teams, or do you want Botman? So the answer is obvious here. You want Botman despite him not being a lot of aerial threat, but he's there's always good to have a defender in the top four, top six sides. Then we look at our midfield. Last year, the main midfield we have is Bruno. We have Longstaff until he got injured, and we started with Willock there as well. Then when they are not fit, then we move Jolinton to the midfield, and we also have a few other replacement that then now we have Tonali, so we have extra body there, because at certain games we are forced to play the young Anderson, and which expose our lack of squad depth. So this year I think they get Tonali, we have more choice there. So probably they'll play Jolinton further forwards at the left, which Isaac played last season. So one thing that surprised me the most is Wilson's price. I expected him to be same as Isaac at 7.5, but he actually increased to 8 million. So we know that Wilson never stay fit for the whole season. Uh, so for me, if you ask me between Isaac and Wilson, actually last season we know that there's a huge swing when you captain Wilson and you captain Isaac. That's what make or break your season last year for a lot of managers. And I myself I went with Isaac, and I of course didn't turn out well. But this season again, I think we cannot expect Wilson to play in all the matches, especially you want to play in the Champions League as well. So Isaac will be a better choice. And not sure yet if we will sign another attacking player, because we have plenty of options up front. We have Gordon, which is currently playing well in the Under-21 Championship. We have Almiron, which honestly, for me, Almiron, I don't expect him to sustain the form or repeat the form last season. I expect him to be back to his ordinary self, maybe. So our front three currently is maybe Jolinton, Isaac, and Almiron, unless we sign someone new. So yeah, if you ask me whether we should pick anyone from Newcastle from the first game week right now, I'll go with Botman and probably no one else until the fixtures get better. Yeah.
Man, Log, I think you've covered everything that I could have asked you about Newcastle. I don't feel I have questions left anymore. Nehal, Aditya, any comments?
No, no. Very early to ask him too many questions now.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, true
Newcastle
that.
is not a popular choice now among the templates until maybe game week 5 or 6.
I just
Yeah.
have one thing, like Wilson always starts the season very well, so that is going to always push me towards him. But let's see, like preseason, if he manages to keep himself fit throughout the preseason, he might be an option over Isak. He might be like early doors.
Yeah, but after
Yeah,
maybe 3 to 4 matches, then there'll be
Yes,
something wrong to him. So
yeah, for
we have
sure,
to keep monitoring his fitness
for sure.
condition. Yeah.
Completely agree
Yeah,
to it.
I think Newcastle, like you said, might not be strong on the template, at least to begin with. I currently have Trippier in my draft, but I had that as a question, and I thank you so much for answering it. But there is a set of fixtures, after the first 3, 4 matches or 5 matches, right? They start playing Sheffield United, Burnley, West Ham, Crystal Palace at home, Wolves away, right? Which feels like the fixture that we would be mostly targeting, and that more or less should coincide with our wildcard one plans. And that's when we would start bugging you heavily, to give us tips. Wilson or Isaac, Trippier or Botman, and you never know if Tonali becomes an option, right? So we will be coming to Newcastle. Don't worry, right? I'm sure at some point of time Newcastle assets will be fairly popular. And while there are questions from fans that whether Newcastle can sustain that defensive form, I do feel at home you guys will be a force. You guys will remain a force, and Botman is such an easy way to pick things and just play him in the home matches at least to begin with. At some point of time, I would love to double up again, like Aditya mentioned. I don't think I can go. I will have the heart to triple up on Newcastle defense, but you never know. At some point of time, it might be a realistic option. So
Yeah, I feel that we actually got slightly exposed at the back towards end of last season, mainly due to the left hand side of Dan Burn, because he's big, but I think he's more suitable playing left centre back, but we have Botman there. So hopefully we'll sign left back with more pace. Then we might play better at the back.
you guys in for Tierney by any chance?
Uh, hard to say.
Cool, cool, man. Thanks a lot. I think we'll move on to the next team.
Yeah.
And we have a very popular FPL team here, right? Because last season during this time, none of us were talking about Brighton. But the way things have shifted so far, Aditya dropped up for some reason.
Yeah.
We can carry on with the conversation at least, right? Okay, sorry guys. I think we restarted a bit.
Aditya,
I think
you're
there was
on
some
mute, I
tech.
guess.
Yeah, there's some
Yeah.
tech issue. It just kicked all of us out again. So I don't know what happened.
No
I
worries, no
think.
worries. We're just
No.
picking up Brighton, right?
Yeah.
Guys, is everyone on the Mitoma train or anyone trying out NCCO, Welbeck? What are your plans for Brighton? Good fixtures.
Uh, Personally, I have my eyes out for João Pedro at that 5.5 forward position. If you want to like stack your midfield up, he could be a good option for your second striker if he's getting those nail minutes. But the only issue with him is he's got a lot of competition for both of his preferred positions. For the sole striker position, he's got Welbeck and Ferguson. And for the right wing position, he's got three competitors as of now. Enciso, March, and one on Note. So I am going to be looking out for him, but he is one option that is like going to be a very big differential if he manages to get a starting berth ahead of Welbeck and Ferguson. So that is going to be an interesting one for me. Uh, what are your thoughts on pricing for March and Gross as the same as Mitoma?
Yeah, I'm quite
Like,
surprised by that. Actually, I expected March and Gross to be 0.5 million lesser than Mitoma. But if three of them are priced the same, as you can see now, Mitoma is obviously the favorite. Everyone will go there. And Gross, we don't know where he'll play because last season he played everywhere, right back, deep in the midfield, especially when we have Mac and Caicedo left leaving. So we really don't know how Brighton will patch up the midfield that they have.
you know what surprised me the most? Like, absolutely surprised me was Gross ending up as the top scoring
Scorer,
midfielder
yes.
from Brighton. And I was like, bro, he didn't even start in the midfield for so many games. He was like at left back, he was at right back, he played everywhere on the
Yeah.
pitch. And he also takes penalties. But and with Mitoma, with those space on the wings, they are susceptible to winning a lot of penalties. Now that McAllister is out, he's going to be number one penalty taker. So interesting to keep an eye out for him.
And another thing is he's the leading bonus point scorer for Brighton because he completed a lot of passes, a lot of tackles in the midfielder. So some might want to get him because of the high bonus points also, and he's a lot of set pieces as well. So a lot of assist potential. So one of the choices that people choose to ignore at the moment, but I think have a lot of potential.
Makes sense.
I, I am starting with Estupinian. I'm being honest. The first guy in my team was Estupinian at 5 million. Brighton have been fairly good in defense as well. The fixtures are good. I do remember during the end, I think he had won 17 point or something towards the end of the season, and I was so happy that really kicked up my game week RAM. So good, happy memories. I'm starting with Estupinian. March is such a silent performer when it comes to FPL, right? I remember there was a stretch of games where March continued to give one assist each, and some odd goal, and Mitoma had just nothing, right? Maybe one or assist, and uh, I feel Mitoma has that flair factor which keeps him in our mind when it comes to FPL. But March is equally potent, and sometimes he gets the better opportunities to score a goal, right? While I might, suck in and start with Mitoma. I will have my eyes on March definitely, and you never know. Wildcard one, I might just make the switch, right? Rather than using a transfer, use that wildcard to switch around.
Yeah, when March scored that goal and was not awarded last season, I actually captained him, so it just broke my heart.
Same here, same
Yeah.
here.
With March, I just have a feeling that he's not the best finisher. He gets a lot of chances, but that's his only issue.
I
Okay,
think we've covered up a lot on Brighton. I think let's move on to the next team, and that is what is going on. The slide is not changing. Looks like everything is up for us, right? To not,
yeah.
it's not even
I mean, it's
moving.
season
It's just
opener,
been
right? It's okay.
Yeah, yeah,
FPL crashed at least 2 times yesterday before the start, so it's fine.
yeah. Never change FPL.
yeah. Thank God. Okay, we are back, and we were here, and we go to Nehal's team. That's the Liverpool, the boys.
Where do I start with Liverpool? Disappointing season last year, but looking exciting this year with the number of signings that we have already completed. So Busley and McAllister going to assure up that midfield. Now, from an FPL point of view, I think all of our assets are little underpriced when compared to their potential, except for Trent and Salah, and to an extent Virgil and Robertson. These are the only four players I think have been overpriced. The others are completely underpriced according to me, and we're also going to see a change in role for Salah. He's not going to be like, as much as it hurts me to say this, he's not going to be as potent as he was earlier, because if we are seeing the change in formation that Klopp had designed for last season, and Trent is going to be the inverted fullback, there is no one to give width. So it's either going to be between Soboslai on the right or on Salah on the right to provide that width and stretch teams out. So it's going to be interesting to see how Salah is going to adapt to that position, because at the end of the season as well, he wasn't very close to the box. He was at the periphery of the edges of the box, but not in the box after the change of formation. So it's going to be interesting to see. Also, a lot of people are jumping on Darwin Nunes, seeing his price. I would say he's a wait and watch for now. I do not see him starting the season. It's going to be between him and Gakpo for sure, and especially with the 5 sub rule, it's going to be interesting to watch how we're going to bed in Nunez. with the amount of chances that we are expected for him to receive from Trent and Soboslai, it's going to be interesting to watch how much he's able to convert. Because even last season he had a lot of chances, but he just couldn't convert them. Like it was either on at the palm of the goalkeeper or right above the goal. It was never to the left or the right of the goalkeeper. So it was always an issue with Darwin. He's always going to be getting those chances with Liverpool with the amount of chances that we create, but it's going to be interesting to watch him. The pick that I would say that has me very excited is Soboslai at 7. That I think has been underpriced by zero point 0.5, and Luis Diaz at 7.5. I think these two can cover for Salah. So I am not looking to go with Salah in my game week one team after like forever. And looking to start with either one midfielder or a forward from Liverpool, either Soboslai and Diaz or Gakpo and Diaz. So those two will be able to cover for Salah. I feel like personally.
My, I had a small thread on. I wrote a small thread on Twitter, right around uh, the two strikers that you have, central guys, right? Hackpo as well as to Nunes, both priced at 7.5. I mean, the pricing is amazing if you get a Newcastle, if you get a Liverpool forward for 7.5 million. But there's a lot of difficulty in guessing who that guy is, right? And of
Yeah.
course, like you said, with the 5 sub rule, of course, no one will play for 90 minutes. I just feel as a system, the way Klopp has bought in players and the way system is developing now, Hackpo just feels like the better guy will fit in better to start those games, right? He can act as a connector. He has shown that a lot of movements in and around the ball. He drops in and he sets up other guys, right? So I just feel Hackpo is the more mobile player, and hence most games he might be the guy starting instead of Nunes. Just a thought.
No,
Looking at the way he moves, that's my feeling, right?
I completely agree to that. So those two players are two different players for two different situations. So I
Yeah.
feel Nunez has more of a out and out forward kind of situation with him, and Hakpo has more game building responsibilities around him. So personally, I think Hakpo should be starting, and then around the 65 mark, we're going to see Nunez come in for the impact of the bench. So it's going to be interesting. You're not going to see a very nailed forward, especially with the amount of options that we have for the forward position. Don't forget Jota as well. So Jota is also another thing that could pop up for the forward position for us. So it's a little difficult to predict who starts in the central position as of now. Even Nunez can start on the left, as we saw last season, but with Diaz back, I don't think so. He's going to give that position away to anyone. Diaz by far is our best left winger. He stretches play. He brings the ball in, and he attracts defenders towards him, creating a lot of space behind defenses as well. And he's got a mean cross. He's got a mean dribble on him. So I think he starts this season for us hands down. But if the conundrum that we have with Liverpool right now is with the pricing that we have, is Salah an option, and can we cover him? So I think with the pricing and with what we are presented with right now, I think two players in the midfield or two players from attack from Liverpool are going to be sufficient to cover for Salah.
What about Trent? 8 million price, right? Someone has gone back after a long time to 8 million as a defender. I didn't even have such a great season, at least for most of the season. Right? He ended it well, right? Do you think you start with him? Do you feel there are some clean sheets there?
I don't personally. Liverpool and clean sheets is going to be a very difficult love story this season. Don't think we're going to have a lot of clean sheets, especially with Fabinho kind of on his decline. We need to replace him with someone with more leg. So that's going to be an issue. So from a clean sheet point of view, I don't see that happening. But from an attacking point of view, he's going to be in those half spaces between Soboslai and Salah on the right hand side if he's playing the inverted role in possession. But That's what you pick him for his attacking returns and his occasional clean sheet. But it's going to be far fetched to say that we are going to keep a lot of clean sheets this season. I don't see that happening. And Klopp doesn't mind it, to be honest. He prefers. Oh, did we lose?
What happened again?
Did we lose again?
Okay.
This is like,
Yeah,
I
somehow.
am really surprised. I don't know what went wrong. It
Man,
just
fan basmetli. That's one that like.
it just kicked me out.
It's like it's rebooting. It's like it's rebooting in every 30 odd minutes and telling
Yeah.
us, hey, this is your 30 minutes. We are hitting the 101. Oh, you guys are supposed
Yeah,
to close
we're
it
at the
with 101.
Yeah.
Perfect. Just talking about that defensive, right? Without clean sheets, I just feel, FPL wise, it becomes such a huge punt. And if you're giving a 8 million price bracket, right, and you don't get the clean sheets, I don't think Trent can hit 200 points without substantial number of clean sheets, right? And if he doesn't hit the 200 points, that 8 million just feels a bit more. I mean, looking at players like Diaz, right now we have a lot of good attacking players at and even below 8 million. I just feel I would rather spend my money there.
No, I agree to that. Like honestly, it's an EO thing that they price him at 8 million to make it a little difficult. And what they messed up was Robertson's price. He's no way going to be a 6.5 defender this season if he's going to play at the left center back position. If he's not overlapping, Robertson is as good as a 5.0 defender. So I think they got it wrong with that. It's only like with Liverpool. I think all the EO players have been priced point 0.5 more than what they're deserving to be. Especially Van Dijk.
Yeah.
Van Dijk at 6, the occasional goal threat. Yes, I do understand. But if he's got no clean sheets, there is no way I'm going to pick him at 6. There are so many other better options at 5.5 and 5.
I think it's 4 to 5 years of being the top assets, right? I feel
Yeah.
like just rewarding them. Hey, you
Yeah.
have done it for a long time. We'll continue to price you high.
I think there was a wrong season though. Like start of last season, I would still understand it, but after last season, just
Yeah.
0.5 above everything.
Perfect. So we set on to the next team, right? We have a couple of more teams to close with.
So next up is Spurs, and Spurs are, I think, a very interesting team because obviously they've gotten a new coach. That's if we all pronounce his name properly, that's I think Age Poste Koglu. Hopefully, I've done
Yeah.
it right.
And
I
Postecoglou.
just call him Ange.
So
I just call him Ange.
yeah, I think he has a good style of play in terms of the way they played under him. I think Spurs will play well under him. I think it's good for them to have such coaches who are not like the big names, and that's how Pochettino came out of nowhere from Southampton to Spurs, and we'll hopefully finally see good football from them because it's been really a stinker run over the last 2-3 years, mess up with the players and other things surrounding there. The only big question is whether Kane stays or not, and that's the question because if he leaves, it's like in terms of the attack as a striker, there's only one guy people will go. With Kane there is a scope for differentiation. Obviously, people might not go for Haaland and like I will go double city attack with midfield and all. But it all revolves around if Kane. That's the big question. Other than that, Richarlison is gone to midfield, so that's an interesting thing. And Son is priced at 9, so he's gone down back. And a few other options are opening up from Spurs, but again, a lot of good things from them we need to see.
The interesting
We have
choice is
Madison
that
at 8.
Yes, that's another one.
I think
Madison
Madison is
is
7.5.
7.5.
7.5, I guess. Yeah.
7.5, yeah.
Amazing.
And based on
Yeah.
Postecoglou's previous teams as Celtic and Australian national team, actually he don't play with wing backs. So you see here, Perisic is might be less valuable compared to during Conte's time when he likes to play with wing backs. So we have to see. I think we cannot choose Spurs wing back, and also if Kane leave, then there might be a chance that Richarlison will be playing at the central striker role, maybe. So it might makes him a popular choice for me.
Personally think Ange Postecoglou does not also care about keeping clean sheets. Personally,
Yes.
he's a front foot manager. You score five, we score six kind of attitude. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that attack pans out, and going to be very interesting to pick these players based off on how they perform early season. Uh, but very difficult for me to start with any one of the Spurs players because I do. It's a very unknown commodity as of now to know how they're going to perform under Ange, and it's interesting to see how if Kane leaves, who's going to take up that lone forward position? Is it going to be Richarlison? If it's Richarlison, he's going to be out of position
Out.
for yeah at 7.0. That's going to be gold with how Ange plays. So it's going to be interesting to watch Spurs this season. I have high hopes from them, especially with the introduction of the new goalkeeper. They're going to assure up that defense a bit as well, but I wouldn't pick anyone from their defense because Postecoglou is not a very defensive manager to begin with. He's not a Sean Dyche. He's not. He's not a Allardyce who's going to assure up the defense and ask to counter against that. He's going to be on the front foot. He's going to try and finish the game off as soon as possible. So it's going to be interesting to watch them this season.
Obviously, I think we will need to spend at least one episode on Spurs, like when we do our team talks, etc., in the coming part, of the preseason. But I do feel, like you guys said, if Harry Kane leaves, things open up for Spurs. He's a very attacking manager, something that we have all seen. I would be much more excited about assets like Richarlison, Madison if Kane is not there, right? Because a player like Madison, right, he loves to score goals. We have seen him as a FPL asset. We have loved him as a FPL asset, right? And he can really open up things for Spurs. But with Kane there, I think everything stops at Kane. He just comes out as a really good Haaland alternative. It's all about timing, right? I saw someone mentioning, I think Brandon there mentioning that, hey, you don't need to start with him. I think it was FPL Wizard saying you don't need to start with them, which makes sense. At some point of time, again, during that wildcard one territory, I think this is one of the major reasons I'm more excited about wildcard one than my starting team. Because I feel like starting team, everyone will have the same team. Just around when we'll be hitting that wildcard one, game week 5, game week 6 territory, when things will open up, we'll know a lot more about Liverpool. We'll know a lot more about Spurs, Chelsea. All these good teams who are underpriced. We'll have avenues to start differentiating. Right. So I'm much more excited about that. One thing I want to add with respect to Perisic, which is there on the screen, it seems Perisic might be moving out on a free transfer. I think they'll be cancelling his contract and he'll move to his home country, Croatia, and which makes sense, right? Because Ange requires a different mindset altogether, right? He will not require a wing back anymore. He'll require a full back who can bomb forward and then come back. And so Pedro Porro might be a very good alternative. Yes, they might not be good on clean sheets, but I think he'll be a very fairly strong fullback. The FPL fullback that we all love. Given the right set of fixtures, I think he'll be someone who will come in and go out of our teams as and when the fixtures suit them.
I
Yeah.
completely agree to that.
Yeah. I'll make a brave
Right. So
prediction. I think Kane stays as first. Yeah, I think he'll stay.
I don't think so. Levy is ready to let him go anyways. He doesn't mind him going on a free as of now, but he just wants him to stay this season. So yeah, I kind of agree to it.
Well, the next team is Chelsea, and
the last slide.
the last slide and the last team for today is Chelsea. And yeah, a lot of Chelsea's, I think, there's been a complete drama, right, from Chelsea over the last year or so. A lot of things up and downs, managers in and out, players in and out, loan moves
Owners
in and
in and
out.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, buying another club in France, selling, all lot of drama going on. But let's talk about FPL here very quickly in terms of Chelsea. They've got a new coach. Obviously, we know who it is. There's Mauricio Pochettino, and there's not a lot to say. We really hope Chelsea play well, and there are good price assets. It's like how FPL priced on United assets last season, just got them down. And I think kind of the same thing they've done with few Chelsea players, not with all. Especially James and Chilwell at 5.5 is a little bit off, right? And other than that, I think there are few assets here and there, and there's one name up on the screen who is very kindly priced at 7. You all know who that is.
I
Raheem
I
Sterling.
just
What do you guys predict?
I don't know. I don't think so. He gets a lot of starts. Like he'll get game time for sure, but it's going to be very difficult to predict who starts in that winger position because they have so many. And Mudrik as well has been lighting the Euros up. Yesterday his game was great. The way he played against the France under 21 team as well. He is looking like a man in form. So he's going to be interesting as well. But again, one position, lot of players.
Yeah, I'm just curious
So
who Chelsea have in the central midfielder role now that they sold almost everyone. They have
Enzo
Gallagher,
and
yeah,
Gallagher,
Enzo. Yeah, just they
Enzo
don't
and
have
Gallagher.
they don't have enough
Maybe
midfielders right
Caicedo.
now. Yeah, maybe
So
Caicedo.
they're looking to buy Caicedo, right?
Mm. So it's
One,
I think
yeah.
like
Go ahead.
go ahead. Yeah, it looks
No,
like
go ahead, Ram.
yeah, it looks like a really unstable team right now, and we don't know which are the players that Pochettino prefer. So we have to, I think, look at a few games first. But at a first glance, actually, I like the price of Sterling. Yeah, but it depends on how many games you'll play. I definitely won't start picking him in game week 1 for sure. I don't think anyone will pick any Chelsea players, even though the James and Chilwell's price looks tempting. And Pochettino actually is, if I'm not mistaken, is not well known for playing wing backs as well,
No.
right? No, so they'll be playing further back than rather than attacking, so which make them less appealing, maybe.
But flip side to that is there is a very slight chance that James ends up on penalties as well.
Penalty, yeah.
So that's an interesting. The out of these four on the screen, I feel Chilwell's got the least potential comparatively because Chilwell as a left wing back when compared to as a left back is a big difference. So it's going to be interesting to see if he or Cucurella gets the start at the left back position. So it's a wait and watch for me for that position as well. One person that we're missing from the screen is Nkunku, 7.5 forward. What do you guys think about him?
Uh, for me, he don't play as their main striker. So for now, I think Chelsea don't have a main striker like Lukaku because Lukaku should leave, and Jackson, I don't think he starts right away. Aubameyang should leave. So not sure if they will buy a new striker or they'll play Nkunku there. And Nkunku, not sure if he is taken any penalties before this because I don't really watch him play that much.
I think he was the primary penalty taker for Leipzig.
Yeah.
With no, it was Szoboszlai. I'm so sorry. Yeah. So there is
uh,
there is a very slight chance that James pips everyone to take those penalties. That's going to be interesting to watch and find out if James is actually on penalties with the pace in their wings. They are very susceptible to winning a lot of penalties.
okay. I think, I mean, just relooking at the fixtures of Chelsea, right? They start with Liverpool home. This is a difficult match. Then they go West Ham away. Then they have Luton Town at home, Nottingham Forest at home, Bournemouth away, and Villa at home. I think fixtures look good. I mean, I was thinking of them as a wildcard one team, but I think the fixtures are strong enough to take that punt, right? I know they will not be popular, but someone like James and Chilwell, I now have a feeling that hey, if I'm going Trippier, I might as well, save that 1 million, go Chilwell. I would love to go Chilwell because, four at the back is where Chilwell comes alive. And I know Poch will play that formation, right? And generally, Poch does well with fullbacks. I remember Walker and I know Rose, right? Those guys used to do really well in FPL as well as, Premier League under Pochettino. So he does well with fullbacks. I don't know what happens of attack, like you guys said. Fairly limited information for us to talk about. But looking at the fixtures, I feel there are clean sheets there. Luton Town at home, Nottingham Forest at home. Poch does well for defense as well. I would like to punt maybe with one, right? Just one, right? Because most of the team will be different here. So why not punt with one player? And if this one, rather than Reece James, I just don't trust his fitness. I would maybe go with Chilwell, right, to begin with. Save that 1 million from Trippier and see whether there is any possibility for me to upgrade. Maybe, upgrade that 4.5 million striker to a Joao Pedro, like Nehal was talking about.
Yeah, and they are not likely to get clean sheets as well. Thiago Silva is, I think, around 40 years old now, and they don't have really
Right.
established centre back, so can't see how they keep a lot of clean sheets this season unless they sign someone.
Yeah.
It's just that wherever I've seen experienced managers come up, right? When Arteta came in, we were like one of the worst defensive teams, and he showed up the defense. So when Ten Hag came in, right, United last season were one of the best defensive teams, right? So whenever good structural managers come in, I feel defense is the first thing they work on, right, and then they start working on midfield and attack, right? So given the fixtures, come on, Chelsea can keep a clean sheet with Luton Town at home, right? That seems a possibility, right? Nottingham Forest at home seems a possibility, right? West Ham away can be tricky, I agree. Villa at home can be tricky, but Bournemouth away again. Feel a good coach can do some wonders, right? There's no, obviously, it's not as given as City going out or United going out and playing those matches. At the same time, you trust the quality of the coach and you take a bit of punt, right? Because anyway, start of the season, you will have nine players similar to others, right? It's just that one or two you pick and you hope that someone gives you something additional to start a bit stronger than others.
I agree to that. Like, you can do far worse than picking James and Chilwell at that price point. They are up for grabs for sure. And if they can keep, say, three clean sheets out of the six, and give you one attacking return or two attacking returns, it's going to be gold at that price point. So interesting to watch them, and I'm just going to keep an eye out for them, see what their preseason looks like, and what formation and how they're going to be set up is in terms of personnel. So just going to keep an eye out for Chelsea. What do you guys think? Top four Chelsea this season,
Mm,
or
no,
just too many moving pieces around for them?
I think they'll be happy with a top six finish for me.
I think just falls short. I mean, you have Liverpool who have really strengthened. You have United who are adding players. Arsenal is really adding, and City, right? And then you have Newcastle who has added someone like Tonali and all that. So it's going to be really, really strong fight this year for the top four. I think they'll be in the mix, but given the fact that there's a lot of transitions happening, I feel they'll slightly fall short this season and perhaps get into it again next season. That's my thought as things stand.
Yeah, the question I asked that question because at that price point, if you get a top four kind of form team player, it's going to be gold for FPL
They'll,
terms.
they will have their moments, right? They will have the moments, and it's just for us to start picking those moments, right?
I
Makes
think
sense.
one thing that from Chelsea is that at the moment, as I think most of us will come to the conclusion that their current squad doesn't favor them for top four. Obviously, with City, Arsenal, United, and Liverpool, probably with Spurs, Newcastle, the seven teams are done right away. I think, right? Six teams, and I think when you add Chelsea there, the only thing that will go in favor is that they have no European football, and that does play an important role because football is getting very, very fatigue prone. Players are struggling. There's a lot of rotations here and there as we get, bottled up towards the December month with this complete bottleneck with the League Cups and all, and all the European games and their Champions League, Europa League, and all those midweek games. So that with not being there for Chelsea, that will help them focus more on the games in the weekend. So we could see better performances from that, but again, that's a long shot at the moment for us to say, right? Unless the season starts, think that
Yeah.
will give us probably better answer.
Also, they will not be losing a lot. I don't think so. Any player to AFCON this season, and not losing any player for the Asian Cup as well. So they're
Hmm.
going to have a lot of rested players with the size of the squad at least.
Hmm. I think we are done with the player prizes. We've covered up for the top six teams, and next we'll move on to the some of the position changes. And so these are the list of players that have their positions changed. Obviously, there are a few interesting names here. We'll just spend a bit of time here and then we'll wrap it up. Obviously, we're going to touch 90-minute mark. That's too much. So we see Jota going back to midfield, Havertz going back, Richarlison going back, and Gakpo is gone as a forward. Sergi Kenias has gone to midfielder. And then I think one interesting name that has been floating around a lot is Enciso and Mbemo, right?
Bruno
Who-
as without Tony, probably the penalty taker. 6.5 kind of out of position. So going to be very interesting. There is a lot of template forming around Mbumo as well. He's rivaling Matoma as your 6.5 pick in the midfield. So it's going to be interesting to see what if Brentford don't sign like a out and out forward, Boomo is going to be a very good option alongside Scard. So let's see. That's a very interesting out of position. I don't know for to be very honest. Like he almost played as second striker all season last season. So I don't know why they made that reverse change, but it helps out. I mean, it helps to get that template form.
It's just FPL being FPL, right? They just want to, do something. Like someone was saying, they're focused on the top three, four teams themselves, and then, they hand it over to some intern and say, hey, why don't you take care of the rest of the changes, right? So
Absolutely.
some things just don't make sense. But I'm happy to see, assets like Jota come back to midfield. Jota, Richarlison, Havertz, these are all players who will pick at some point of time, right? For 3, 4 weeks or 5 weeks, right? And NCCO, in fact, at 5.5 million, I feel with McAllister moving out of Brighton, he is the guy who will play that position, right? So he's a guy who will definitely come into our teams during the wildcard one or post that trade because Brighton looks so good in the attack and they have got a really good coach. I have to accept a very solid coach in the way they build up, right, and the way they attack, right. They do it as good as the top teams. Uh, Earlier also they used to do it under Potter, but I think they have just picked up another level with some of these additions. I just hope with both McAllister and Caicedo moving out, they don't lose out that mentality, which is very much needed for you to finish out matches, right? So these guys used to help them out. So I hope that mentality remains. But like we were talking about, Brighton will give us some surprise assets for sure, cheaper assets who we can utilize on to do a bit better, right?
Yeah, for me, the one that caught my attention is Brandon Johnson, shifting to midfield because he's
Yeah,
on penalty and is playing forward, linking well with Ewani, especially towards end of last season. So we have to see how Forest improve their attack this season, whether they do that. And another thing is on Newcastle's point of view, Richie switching from defender to midfielder, it doesn't matter because he won't get minutes. So that's all for me, I think. And also Visa. Visa
correct.
because yeah, without Tony, then he'll most likely play the starting forward role unless they sign someone. So that could be an interesting choice as well.
Fair.
So fair
So
enough. I
end
think
of
we're
game
done.
week one pod.
Yeah, so it looks like we are probably done with this very brief, not brief. Brief is such a unjustifying word that I've used for a 90-minute episode is really harsh. For a lengthy stream one from us, cluttered and forced
But good
with
fun
poor.
talking about FPL.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
finally.
Yeah, it's 12:30 a.m. in Malaysia right now, and I'm still not sleeping.
good morning. It's Friday morning for you.
Yeah, it's Friday morning now. Luckily, tomorrow is a public holiday here, so not working.
So I think, yeah,
Okay,
that brings
I
us to
mean
the
this
end.
pod. Yeah, this pod
Anything else you guys
definitely
want to add?
makes me think a bit more for my FPL team, right? I just made one template yesterday, but now with this discussion, I know I'm going to go back and do a bit more rejigging. I hope we push Aditya enough to start making his first draft.
No, no. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do. I mean, anyone who logs in 2 hours before the deadline will make the team that we will be doing from now.
True. The template will be formed. Like no matter what you do, the template will be formed because these players at that at those price points are going to be picks that you want to have in your team. So no matter what FPL does from their price point of view or changing the point system point of view, there is always going to be a template.
Will
Yes,
not
I
keep
think.
long any further. I
Yeah,
think
will not
he's
keep long.
about to doze
Yeah,
off.
yeah. Leong needs to go off. And thanks for everyone for taking time to join in. Obviously, an hour and a half is a lot. We are all on different time zones. That's one thing. And to all in the chat and our viewers who joined in, we appreciate everyone taking out time. There might be another stream on this weekend. Not 100% sure. We'll be having our beloved zoo coming on if that happens this weekend. If not, we'll probably start our team preview series from the 24th of this month. That will give us enough time for all the teams at least to play 2-3 games. Otherwise, it's going to be pretty much pointless for us to talk on. So we'll be starting from 24th, the team preview series, covering up as many teams as we can. So hopefully we'll see you all then. Do drop us a follow on both Twitter and Instagram threads, whatever the thing has launched. That's TGN_FPL. And do drop us a like on this video, and don't forget to hit the bell icon and subscribe. Too many things to say at the moment, but yeah, let's wrap it up, and yeah, we'll see you all next time. Till then, enjoy your tinkering.
Cheers, cheers.
Yes, thank you.